being consistent. Like posting something, if not every day, every other day, because that presence is people seeing you over and over again. You might be putting out good stuff, but if you're not consistently putting it out, you're going to get buried.
Welcome to the Passion Behind the Art Show. It's all about diving in with individuals to learn the story behind their passion. It's your host, Daryl Pinna.
All right, well, I'm super excited to welcome Camellia Akhamie Kies. I got it, to the Passion Beyond the Art Show. A great drummer, so many unique styles with a little bit of African flavor. So, Camellia, welcome.
Thank you.
Well, let's jump right into it. When did you know that, okay, music was going to be my thing?
I really got into music when I was around 5 years old. I saw my cousin playing at church, and I was like, that's what I want to do. And I went home and I just grabbed some little buckets, and I remember just like banging on them. But I asked my parents for a drum set, and they were just like, you don't know how to play, you don't know how to play. But I just remember always trying to participate in school, and like in elementary school, we had like a band program, and I was always trying to play at church, and they were just like, no, get off the drums. So it was tough to get in, but like I was really persistent. I was really passionate about music, so I just kept, I was trying. Every Christmas, I was like, my parents, I was like, can I get a drum set? Can I get a drum set? They're like, And I remember I was about 13 years old, and I went to my mom. She was washing dishes, and I was like, can I get a drum set? She was like, go print out the stuff. Go print out exactly what you want and give it to me. And I was like, really? So from that point on, it was just like, the drum set comes in, and my dad's like, who said you can get a drum set? Oh. But they were cool with it. I practiced so much, and I love playing. And from there, I auditioned for a fine arts high school, and I was accepted into like a Center for Performing Arts high school. They had music and dance and theater. And I also drew at the time a lot more, and I was torn between, should I do drums, should I do music, or should I do art? And I couldn't. And they were like, well, I was like, I guess I'll pick music. And it was a really great experience being at the school. I learned a lot, really. And my 10th grade year in high school, I started taking lessons with a guy named Miles Overton. He's in the perching zone. Or he retired. And I started taking lessons with him. And when I graduated, I enlisted into the Navy band. So that's basically the story.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So what was that like, jumping from like just school life, I guess, not regular, but normal musician life, to jumping into the Navy band? Like, what was the dichotomy like that?
It wasn't too bad.
Okay.
Because I finished high school, and my parents were really like structured and pretty strict, so I was disciplined.
Oh.
So that aspect of the military wasn't challenging for me. Like for some people, they can't do it. They can't take orders. But going into the military, I was about 19 years old, and so it was like high school military basically, and it was okay. I just knew that I was going to be able to play music once I got through boot camp part of it. So that was kind of my motivation.
That's cool.
Push-ups, and it's like, well, I'll be able to play drums. So.
Oh, that's cool. So you had like that little cloudy vision of, okay, at the end I'll be able to play music. At the end I'll be able to play music.
Yeah.
That's cool. So I noticed you kind of have like this kind of rhythmic, African, a little Caribbean feel to a lot of your drum renditions. So when someone hears your music, what kind of experience are you trying to get them to have?
I'm just trying to make people happy. I want people to move because music and, well, the type of music I'm trying to play with like the 4 on the floor, it's meant to make you move. And, like Afro beats and salsa, which I'm really influenced by that type of music. It's just, it makes you want to dance. And that's really what I love about it. And that's kind of why it kind of just started coming together. I remember my setup that I'm using right now, it was inspired, I guess, when I was living in Corpus Christi. And we were living in a studio apartment and there wasn't enough room to like set up my drums. So I was like, I didn't have enough room to set up a kick drum. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to grab a cajon. I'm going to grab a hi-hat, and I can't get toms in there. So I'm going to just put an electronic, cause you can get some like, percussion sound.
Okay. Gotcha.
On like the SPD30 or the SPDSX. So that was my thinking behind it. And I remember posting a video late at night after I just finished practicing. And it went crazy, like so many views. And I was like, this is what people like. And I'm like, I like it too. I just started making more stuff like that. And people seem to really, really, really enjoy it. So what I've been doing is I'll make a loop. Like before I started talking to you, that's what I was doing. That's why I didn't set up the camera. I was like, I'm trying to make beats. I was working on something, and what I'll do is I'll make a loop or I'll make a track, I'll play to it, and then I'll put it out and be like, if anyone's interested in this, DM me. And so a lot of people have been like, can I get that loop? Can I get that track? I'm really interested in what you're doing. Can we collaborate? So it's motivating to be able to communicate with people from all over the world, really. Like this guy in India took my loop and he put like a Kanakal on it, which is like a put that on there, and people put like bass lines, piano lines on it. This guitar player, I think he's from Italy, or maybe he's just like, can I play on a track, or let's do a collaboration. So it's really motivating, really. And that's kind of why I decided to start the business, because I'm like, people want to hear it. It's unique. It's different. So, yeah.
Oh, so my question is, when did the pivot happen? I'm just doing this to like, I really need to get serious about this. Like, when did that pivot happen?
Well, I always had that in the back of my mind. Like, I wanted to create something really, really cool, but I just, being in the military and then finishing the military and then being a full-time student, I didn't really have that opportunity to sit and try to like just create. But I graduated and I finished in December. I just like had the ceremony in May. So for like the past 6 months, I've been able to like get the LLC, I built my own website. Like I have been able to like the social side of it as well as like the musical side of it, been able to just really put it together because I've had the time. So,
that's cool.
In the last 6 months is when that was the shift. I was just like, people want this, and I'm going to try my best to, provide it.
Nice. So what would you say was the hardest thing you had to overcome?
As a kid or like overall?
Well, in general. I mean, as I said, this is all about as deep as you want to go.
I would say reading music back when I was in middle school, high school was probably one of the things I had to really overcome. And I'm happy that I did. I'm not the best reader, like musical reader, but I could read well enough to get into the Navy band, and they tested you on that. You gotta be able to sit down and read the snare part for the marching band, and it was a battle for me because I was so used to using my ears, and like I wouldn't necessarily trust what was on the page. I'm like, it'll sound better if this was here, and then the band is relying on me to play what's on the page. So if I'm not, so that was the struggle. Getting over that and being like, this is not like a rock funk setting. We're not just jamming. We're reading music, and you got to play the part.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. You didn't want to like go off to like, okay, let me do this. This sounds better. They're really not a setting for that.
Yeah, I tried it though a lot. All performances too. I was like, I'm gonna play this. You guys deal with it. But
Oh man, how did that go?
it didn't go very well. So I mean, it was a good journey though. It was a good experience, and you know, when I'm in that setting, I know that I have to trust what's on the page,
Right.
and you know, try to add to it. Don't overplay it, but yeah. So was really driven in when I was in the military in the Navy band. So
Okay, cool. So now you're building, you know, your business and you're going along. Who would you say was like the people that I guess has given you the most support, like your support system?
my parents, I mean, they since I was a kid have always been like, you know, no, you can do it, go for it, you know, try it. So that's really, yeah. So, and parents, musicians, you know, just a lot of good influences.
Nice. So, are you like a morning practice person or evening practice person? Like, what is like the schedule like when it comes to practicing?
If I could practice all day, I would. But between like trying to manage like the social media side of it, I would say throughout a week, I could practice maybe 5 hours a day. You know, if my husband lets me. Sometimes he comes home and just like, yeah, he's like, not today. So then I'll be like, all right, I got to work on the social side of it, or I got to edit a video, or I got to try to work on my YouTube presence. So I'll jump into that instead.
Okay, cool. So how is the balancing of like all of this?
It's a lot. It is really a lot of stuff to think about and to focus, to know where to focus your attention. You know, that's been like the hardest part, because I really just want to sit and play music all day. And like I keep telling myself, I'm like, when this gets successful, I'm going to hire someone to do the social side of it and making the posters and making all this stuff. It's just managing the website. It's just so much stuff to do. But right now I'm doing it all on myself. So
Sounds good. Good. So what would you say you're most excited about right now?
I am excited about, I don't know, just making rhythms, you know, making things that people enjoy. That brings me the most excitement. So I'm trying to look into, I'm working with a girl in London. Her name is Shay, and she actually played keys, synth for Mr. Easy, like the big, you know.
Nice.
She got in touch with me, and then we did a little collaboration. But I talked to her. I was like, we need to create like an album, you know, like a little, you know, maybe like an EP or something, like something small. But we need to do something, because I feel like this needs to be put out there, you know,
Right.
these beats, these rhythms. It was really inspirational when I was practicing back in Texas, because we just moved here in January. But there was this woman who came up to me while I was playing, and I thought she was going to be like, you know, can you please just stop? And she was like, do you mind if I listen? She was like, your rhythms are just helping me relax. It's, you know, I don't know what it is about what you're playing, but it's really just moving. And I'm like, really? So that was almost like confirmation for me that I'm really moving in the right direction with what I'm doing, because I would listen back to it and I'm like, this stuff is really cool. You know, this is really different. And to hear her say that, like, it made me want to study or look into like the brain and how the brain and repetition of like rhythms and stuff, and these like repeating rhythmic patterns, how it helps, you know, memory and stuff like that. It was just really cool. And I'm like, whoa, this is what I'm doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, I noticed, like, because I know a lot of musicians, and especially when it comes to drumming, if you start out playing in church, a lot of that has to do with just strictly ear. Very few people start out playing in church just knowing to read music and stuff like that. Like, how did playing by ear benefit you in your journey?
Playing by ears, it's helped me just express, express more in my playing. Just reading music, I think, can be a little bit restricting, just because it's written. But if you can take what's written and expand upon it, then that's when you really start creating. Like, you learn the tools, or sometimes you don't even learn the tools. You just have the natural talent to just take it and, create something amazing. So.
All right. So when Camilla is not dealing with music, like, what's some of the stuff she likes to do? I kind of think I have an idea, but go ahead.
What do you? All right, I'll tell you what I like to do. We'll see if you're right though. I'm at the beach hiking. When I lived out in California, we were mountain biking, so we go camping a lot. My husband and I, we like to be outside. So
I figured it was something like that. I just figured because you look like you be in a gym or something. No joke.
No, I try. I mean, when I was in the Navy, I worked out a lot more because I had to.
Right.
I have a naturally fit physique,
Right.
just, I guess, genetics. But I also do, I eat really well. I exercise when I can, and I lift weights because I know lifting weights is really good for you. So, yeah, I read stuff and I'm like, that sounds like it should be good. I'll try that. So.
Right. Well, that's cool because outdoors. I like outdoors too. It's for me to get away from it. It helps the mind to kind of just be free and think. You know what I mean? Just being away from that thing that you do.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's next? What's next for Camilla in the coming future? What's next? The rest of the year?
Yeah, the year is going by so fast. Like, I have a little list that I always reflect on. Like, am I, on the right track? But my YouTube channel, getting that more exposure. So that's what I'm working on. Because, like, before it was Instagram was my focus.
Right.
Like, I hit 10,000 followers, which was a pretty big deal. And I did that pretty quick after I started becoming consistent. So YouTube's my focus now. Creating music, creating rhythms. I'm possibly thinking about maybe getting a certification in, like, learning how to work like Reason or different music software to get better at that. Like, I feel like that's really necessary for what I'm trying to do. So that's one of my plans or long-term goals. But I mean, if the vision, I could see Akhamie music becoming a school, like becoming a big, business to help people, learn the stuff that I've learned in the journey to get so it's just like I have a lot of ideas, but within the next 6 months, I would say making music, making more rhythms, interacting more with people, YouTube channel. There's another big one. Oh, Amazon. Okay, so I just went to Nigeria about 2 months ago. So I was visiting my dad's village, and I got some nice, clothing, traditional clothing made. So I had this idea. I'm like, I don't feel like the, Ankara, head wraps or clothes are really in the U.S. very much. It's a very small amount, but I'm trying to maybe combine, the Western look with the traditional, Nigerian look. So that's kind of one of my ideas. So I have a person that I know in Nigeria that I met. So I'm like in the process of talking to her and starting the line.
Nice.
Starting some clothes. So
that sounds epic.
Yeah.
So how has your Nigerian background like affected what it is that you do, especially musically?
It's affected it a lot. Because, I mean, if you had talked to me like 2 years ago, what I was listening to was completely different. You know, my style of playing was completely different. So it's just, I think it was always there, like that rhythmic, you know, at least that's what my dad always said. He's like, you know, it's already there. You know, you can play that stuff. But just hearing it and just, I'm like, wow, you know, this is really cool. And what I'm doing is trying to put my own spin on it, you know. So,
right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Two things, all right? I want you to, the last thing will be, you know, give some advice for musicians. But I want you to kind of say a musician or anyone is trying to grow on social media. What were some of the things that helped you to grow on social media?
Being consistent. Like posting something, if not every day, every other day, because that presence is people seeing you over and over again. You know, you might be putting out good stuff, but if you're not consistently putting it out, you're going to get buried.
Right.
So you want to constantly be like, hey, I'm here, here, oh, here's something else, you know. So that's what I really, I didn't know that in the beginning, and I kind of just quickly figured that out, because I would look at people's Instagrams and I'm like, wow, this person has really good stuff, and I was like, when was the last time they posted? It's like a month ago. That's fine. So yeah, it all matters. The algorithms that Instagram, and I'm a little geek about some of that stuff. I read it, I'm like, why is this video getting more views than this one? And hey, maybe you posted it at the wrong time of day. You know, it all matters.
That's interesting. I mean, I think everybody is trying to figure out this dang on Instagram algorithm, man.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Instagram is different. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, anything that you're putting out stuff on, they all have their way of prioritizing, because no one's sitting at the computer being like, I'm going to put this person before this one.
Right.
You know, it's a little program that no one knows about.
So as we get ready to wind down, like, what advice would you give to musicians, just in general? What advice would you give to musicians or someone who's trying to build something?
I would say for musicians, practice a lot, and practice a lot of different styles. Don't be like, I love rock, I'm just gonna play rock. That's fine, but expose yourself to jazz. Listen to it, because you never know. You might be in a situation where you're sitting in just chilling. Someone recognizes you, like, oh, we have this drummer here. You want to come up and sit in? And like, oh, it's jazz. I don't play jazz. People are like, you're a drummer. What do you mean? Play jazz? Like, shouldn't you play everything? You know, it's just like expected. Right. So it's good to, you don't have to be the greatest at it, but that's what's helped me a lot. And that's how I was able to get into the Navy music programs, because I knew how to play a wide variety of styles in music. So, yeah.
Nice. Ready to break it down?
Break it down? Well, I can do something that I was working on, because before you called, I was working on This Is Nigeria, This Is America. Mm-hmm. Have you seen those? Mm-hmm. So I sped it up. I have a loop going in the background. I mean, if you're interested in hearing, I don't know how it's going to sound.
Let's try it.
I'll try to turn it down, but...
Yeah, let's try it.
All right, we'll see how it goes. So you hear the loop? Can you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the loop that I made. And then I'll start playing over it.
Nice. It sounded good. It sounded good.
Thanks. I'm just, exploring, messing around, just trying to, make something cool. That's always the goal.
Right. So, where can someone go to find you, to learn more about what you're doing?
Instagram, Akhamie.music, YouTube, Akhamie Music, Facebook, Akhamie Music. And Akhamie is Akhamie. Twitter, Akhamie Music, SoundCloud, you can www.akhamie.com. So, yeah, there's a wide variety of ways to get in touch. You can email me, akhamiemusic.com. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Well, Camellia, I really appreciate you coming on. Like, your energy is like legit. Like, you make me want to like freaking go outside and go do something energetic. But I really appreciate you taking the time out of your time. Love what you're doing. Keep it up.
Thank you so much.
All right. But for now, I'm gonna let you go. But thanks again for being on the show.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Over and out.
Talk to you later.
All right. Take care.
You too.
Thanks again for listening to this week's episode. I hope it brought you a ton of value. I'm always open for feedback and just to hear what you thought and what stood out to you the most. So reach out to me through my Instagram or Twitter, DPCREATES, and just let me know, like, how did this episode impact you and what did you get from it? What stood out the most? I would love to hear what it is that brought you value. Thanks again for listening to this week's episode. Be blessed.